Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Power Word Crit. My name is Corin, and I will be your dungeon master today. With me are 4 great players. They are...
I'm Kayla, and I am playing Celestine Peacechild.
I'm Ander, and I'm playing Wesley Eldridge.
I'm Ashlyn, and I'm playing Izzy Welkenmov.
I'm David, and I'm playing Lord Usarkar von Pride.
All right, last game. Usarkar and Wesley met up with some guards at a guard tower, and after a brief introduction with the guards of Berdusk, they were directed to a commanding officer named Captain Raduriel. Raduriel led them to City Hall, and after waiting a while, met the High Magistrate. The High Magistrate was surprised that Wesley and Usarkar could identify which group was responsible for these attacks. And after this revelation, the High Magistrate asked to meet them again the next day to give them time to corroborate information with the other cities who were attacked. The next morning, Usarkar met up with Celestine and Izzy and brought them back to Berdusk. Wesley made some new friends with a woman named Mina and her knitting crew, and learned of a man named Lord Faradin who had been missing for about a month. Rumors were going around that he had disappeared because he'd stolen some magical artifacts and goods from former employers, and they were after him. Once the whole group reunited, they met with the High Magistrate again and learned that the cult may be looking for something specific based on what other towns were reporting. The High Magistrate also gave you guys a list of known former cultists, one of which was Lord Faradin. After leaving the meeting, someone bumped into Celestine and dropped a note in her pocket, stating that someone was at the Tempus chapterhouse outside of town, that he was hurt, and that she needed to hurry. Last where we left off, Celestine, you had pulled out this piece of parchment, and it says that somebody is hurt, that they need help and you need to hurry. What do you do?
Did we have an actual plan to go do something now?
Well, I think that we need to go track down the list of people that the magistrate gave us. I
Mhm.
pulled up said list and shake it a little bit. Like, we've got Lady Reynard the Brown, Sir Collard the Wise, Lord Terracus, and Lord Faradin. These are all people who have connections to the dragon cult.
What time is it?
Right now, it's just afternoon.
Cool. So, do we want to split up, look for clues, and meet back here for dinner?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Celestine's gonna go to the chapter house.
Nice. Split the party.
Yeah. Cover more ground.
Do you want someone to come with you, or are you good by yourself?
I would love backup.
Okay, I'll come with you if no one else wants to go.
Wesley, it's you and I then.
Okay.
Unintentionally splitting the guys and the girls again. Oh well.
I mean, it seemed to work last time, so let's do
It's
it.
true.
It's worked so far.
I just didn't want Celestine to go by herself.
I think Lord Usarkar and I are building a wonderful bonding friendship here.
Yes, you, me, the horses, and the cat.
Yep, pretty much.
Yes, please take care of Whiskers.
Actually, wait. You guys don't need the horses.
The horses are being taken
How
care of,
far
I
are you
assume.
going?
2 miles.
You guys managed to go get the horses, and you ride off into the distance. So, we will start with Wesley and Usarkar.
Excellent.
Makes sense because we're traveling.
Well, do we want to hit up these people first, or do we want to see about some of those goods that they promised us?
I think that we should beat the pavement, if you will, and knock on some doors, and let's see what we can find out.
Instead of being the person all the investigators are knocking on, we can be the investigators.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We have Lady Reynard the Brown and Lord Terracus. It seems like a lot of these people are nobility or something like that.
My understanding was that a number of them were old members of the city guard. Is that correct, DM?
Yeah, 2 of them are retired members of the city guard, and 2 of them are nobles in the area.
So would you get lady and lord in your title if you were... You have to be a lord or a lady. You have to own property, right?
Yes.
Okay, so not just a mere guard.
I'm assuming that Sir Collard the
He
Wise
could be.
is in fact a knight. I'm
Yes.
assuming that Lady Reynard could either be a symbol of respect, but likely is a noble. Does that mean that Lords Tertius and Faradin are the non-nobility? Am I reading that correctly?
So Lord Terracus and Lord Faradin are nobles.
Ah.
You're not sure about Lady Reynard, and Sir Collard's is not a noble, does not own land,
Really?
and is just a retired. On your sheet, you also have last known address of these people. Lady Reynard lives in the Narrows. Sir Collart lives in the Roselamp district. And Lord Terracus and Lord Faradin live in the High Keep.
I believe that, looking at my map, that we are the closest to High Keep. Perhaps it makes sense to go and visit them first.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
You guys end up wandering around a bit. You see literally any type of artisan craft that you can think of is just people out there doing it right on the street. Like there's woodworkers on the street just carving stuff up real quick. This area seems to be slightly more touristy than some of the other places that you have been, mostly because there's all these artisans and the houses are very much more well kept than where you guys were staying. It's very much a scenic walkabout, if you will. You manage to come up to a house. The house is very large. It's much larger than most houses in this area, and it looks to be about 2 or 3 stories, and it has kind of a rustic feel, and there's vines growing on the side, and it's actually very pretty.
Which house is this? We would know that this is either Lord Terracus or Lord Faradin's house.
Which one do you want to look up first?
Do they both have unusually large houses?
They do.
I suggest that we go for the one of interest, Lord Faradin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you look on the plaque and you see Faradin household in 4 different languages.
This is quite an interesting estate. Very large for the middle of a city. I wonder if this is his primary residence or whether he has a manse in the country as well. Either way, he must have been a person of great wealth and influence to maintain such a place.
I'm gonna be a distraction. What's the 4th language? Common, elf, dwarf.
Gnome.
No. Cool. So you're counting like, wait a second.
Before we proceed, what do we know about this Faradin fellow, aside from the fact that he was recently involved in a scandal?
That's pretty much it. Is it that scandal seemed to involve magic items, selling thereof. The
Unfortunate. He's assumedly one of the few remaining older nobility. And my understanding from the news we gained from Baldur's Gate is that the nobility in Berdusk have been less than noble and more impoverished as time goes on.
Here? Berdusk? Okay.
Yes. But that's just hearsay from Baldur's Gate.
I want to look around at the grounds. Are we looking like essentially on the doorstep, or is there like a gateway and a considerable amount of distance in between?
Yeah, so there's a gate. There's a wrought iron gate. It's huge. It's got like horses and stuff on it, like very ornate, very stylish, very fancy. And then there is a white brick wall that goes all the way around the estate. So you could try to jump the wall if you so desire, but the wall is 15 feet high. And the wrought iron gates are locked. There's a big padlock on it.
Okay.
But if you want to do just a perception or investigation from where you are, you're more than welcome to.
Remind me, do we have rights of authority from the magistrate?
Yes.
Yes.
So I am going to look around for a high keep guard.
All right, go ahead and make a investigation check.
Not very good. Are they that hard to find?
I think so, probably.
Investigation of 13.
That's not too bad.
I have a big bonus.
You end up wandering around about 5 minutes down different streets, and you finally find a guard. Oh, hello. How may I help you?
Hello. What's she look like?
She is very, very short. She looks to be a gnome. And she very happy, very spry, and willing to help. She looks like a newbie.
Hello, miss.
Hello.
I am employed by the High Magistrate to investigate a certain Lord Faradin. The estate seems to be locked up. If you're not busy, could you procure the keys for us?
Do you have anything from the High Magistrate claiming
Yes,
who you
right
are?
here, I say, and I pull out the paper.
Yeah, and there's a seal of the High Magistrate on there. Oh, I don't No, listen, I've only been on the job for like a month, so give me a second and let me contact my superior and I will get right back to you. Is that all right?
Of course.
Yeah, just, you know what? How about you follow me so I don't lose you? That seems smart.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Mhm.
And she happily skips along. And she leads you right back to the guard tower that you originally saw when you first entered the inner wall. And she goes, Captain Ryderell, I need help, please. And you see that short man come out again. Oh, hello, how are you doing? Again, nice to meet you again.
Yes, it is good to see you. We are on official business again.
Oh,
Seems that we are prone to do such things and are on the magistrate's order to investigate, particularly Lord Ferriden's estate.
oh,
But since we're in the area, also the estates of Lord Terracus.
okay.
If we could have assistance and aid from the guard in that as well, that would be appreciated
Oh.
Good idea, Usarkar. I'd hate to have to run back here every single time.
every single time.
Do you have papers?
We do. Showing them.
Okay.
Look, see that the big old giant shiny seal on there.
I see it. It's very shiny. Let's find a locksmith. About 30 minutes later, a locksmith shows up. Apparently, the guard does not keep keys to pretty much every estate here. However, a locksmith does show up. You manage to convince them to do what they're supposed to be doing. And you guys now have access to Lord Ferriden's estate. So, we'll go over to Lord Terracus's. We haven't heard from him in a while, too. We'll,
Really?
yeah, we better go do a welfare check on him. And he goes, his house is about 5 houses down and on the next street over. You can't miss it. It's the blue one.
Do you have a member of the guard who could be about with us as we're doing this? We wouldn't want people to come to the wrong conclusion as we investigate.
Ooh, I can do it! I can do it!
You would be perfect.
Yes. Stand guard. Make sure to take any looky-loos away from here. We don't want any more rumors about the lords. And he rolls his eyes. And is there anything else I can help you with?
No, I think that's got us pretty well taken care of. Thank you.
Awesome. Onward to Lord Terracus's house. You
All right.
guys are able to get in. The lawn, by the way, stretches about 50 feet. I mean, it's quite long.
Mhm.
To the front door, I should say.
What was the name of this incredibly perky gnome?
The perky gnome?
Yeah, the one who's
our
with us.
escort or guard.
Her name was Tilly Roundcap. I'm Tilly. What's your guys' names? I'm sorry, I should have asked that first.
I am Wesley Eldridge of the Eldridge Exchange of Greenest.
Nice to meet you. And she holds out her hand.
I shake it.
She shakes
Most
it
vigorously,
super
yes.
vigorously back.
There's a moment there where we both just like shake hands like a ton.
And yours?
I am Lord Usarkar von Pride.
Nice to meet you. And she holds out her hand.
I look at her hand.
Don't
Okay.
mind him. He's dignified.
Oh, right. I will stand here, and you do your investigating. I'll just be right here, standing guard. Hey, don't look at this place. This is not for you.
Perfect.
She yells at some random passerby.
Wesley, she's going to do her job. Let us get to ours then.
Okay. You walk up the 50 feet to get to the front door.
And this estate is empty. It's abandoned. There is nobody around.
Does it look abandoned? And if so, for how long?
Based on your passives, there are weeds starting to grow. You can see in the back, there's weeds growing. You have not seen any movement at all since you've been here. And there are no lights on. If you want to find out anything further, you'd have to do an investigation check.
If not in practice, it is abandoned in heart and soul.
Mm-hmm. I'd say let's go up to the door and
Try the handle.
yeah.
You try the handle. It opens.
Ooh, spooky old house.
Kind of odd, actually, to lock the front gate but not the door.
Yeah.
I expect that we will find all manner of ill repute in here who,
Hmm.
would while away the time at night at least. and probably have raided the place since here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, without any guards or anything, I'm surprised. Wouldn't be surprised if people just were hopping over that wall.
Mm-hmm.
I admit that I contemplated it a little bit if we weren't going to be able to find a guard. So.
Mm-hmm. What do we see inside?
Inside, it's very dark. It's a little dusty, so it definitely hasn't been touched in a bit. And it looks completely untouched. You walk into this entryway, there's chandeliers going all the way down the hallway. There are glass tables holding what looks to be very expensive items, and none of them look to be touched at all.
Interesting.
That's really strange.
Wesley, go ahead and make an Arcana check for me, please.
That's going to be a 14.
As you guys are looking around, you notice that there are symbols and beautiful architecture on the wood and on the wallpaper in the house. As you focus in on some of the symbols, you realize that this looks like an arcane symbol. Like it's just repeating over and over and over again. It's on the wood, it's on the wallpaper, and it seems to also be on almost every single piece of furniture.
Can I tell what the arcane symbol means, or just that it's arcane?
With a 14, you're not entirely sure what it would do, but it looks to be in the class of abjuration.
I guess the question is this a ornamentation thing?
If it's an abjuration, it is by definition a protective ward of some sort. But whether or not it's a protective ward against dust or it's a protective ward against looters.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and communicate that to Usarkar. They're like, hold on, be careful around here. I point to the symbol in its many instances on the different items. I think we know why these haven't been taken. Is that I think the previous owner left some spells to protect it. We probably want to tread carefully.
I'm going to take a war dart and I'm going to throw it at one of the symbols.
Nothing happens. Just sticks in it.
Well, whatever it is, it didn't react to that.
If there's a handy vase or something like that, I'm just going to pick it up,
Nothing happens.
sidle over and walk over to another room while carrying the vase.
Everything's fine.
Okay. Well, probably as long as we don't take things out or something. Or it's a protection against dust. Or
I'm going to
something.
grab my war dart and pull it back out of whatever I stuck it into. Very well, let's begin our investigation. Take note of what this particular symbol looks like. Let's not get lax just because we see them. If we see a different type of symbol, beware.
Yeah.
So, as I said, you guys enter the entryway, and the entryway is 20 feet long, and it's 10 feet wide. So it's a fairly large entryway. There, as you go down about halfway, there are doors into other rooms, and there are rooms on the other side of that and rooms on the other side of that. So you can actually see into multiple rooms as it goes around. At the end of the hall, it looks like there's more openings that way that lead to the left or the right.
Okay, I think going slowly and looking, around as we go, and we don't know what we're looking for. We'd like to question him, but he is likely fled, and we would need to know where. I think any indications are what we're looking for.
So the hallway from the entranceway is about 10 feet wide. It goes down 20 feet. Halfway down the entryway, there were rooms. But as you looked into those rooms, you could see archways into other rooms and then other rooms. You also notice at the end of the entryway, there are what look to be openings into what look to be more rooms left or right.
Can I see any stairs or anything? Is this a multi-level building, or is it?
This is a multi-level
Three
building.
levels.
Yeah, from what you can guess, it's 2 or 3 levels. There may be an attic, there may be a third level. You can't quite tell. You do not see any stairs at this point.
I'm going to scamper down the hallway ahead.
Okay. Make a dexterity saving throw. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Fireball, everyone dies. No. So you get down to the end of the hallway.
And there goes the house.
There goes the house.
We knew you were a sorcerer of that sort.
You get down to the hallway, or at the end of the hallway, and you notice that the wall It kind of curves a little bit at the end of the hallway. But you do see into 2 more rooms. And they also look to have curved walls that are on the same wall as the end of this hallway.
So just kind of repeating room kind of stuff.
Kind of.
I'm going to continue that direction, I think.
So you can either go right or left.
Oh.
You've reached the end of the hallway. But the end of the hallway, it's curved. I can't show the listeners, but it's curved like this.
So it curves away from us.
Yeah, it curves away from you.
Yeah, okay.
And if
It's
you look into the
concave as opposed
rooms,
to convex.
correct. So if you look to the room on the right and the left, that curve is continuing on that same wall. But there are rooms there.
Okay.
So
I'm going to poke my head to the right.
okay, you poke your head into the right, and it looks to be a dining room. Beautiful wood-carved floors, beautiful chandeliers with hundreds and hundreds of crystals hanging above the dining room table. The dining room table looks to extend to hold 30, 40, 50 people. It's quite large.
Nice studs.
Yeah, it's also a square one, so you can fit multiple people on each side.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool. It was definitely made in Berdusk because this is excellent quality.
It also probably isn't coming out of the room.
It's not coming out of the room, no. Not sure how you got it in there, but
Probably assembled in the room.
yeah.
Are there further exits from this room?
There are. As you entered in this room, there is another doorway. Still curving, but it leads into another room on that same wall. So far you've got 2 rooms that are curved, and then you see entrances to more rooms that are curving.
And where is this continuing curve? Because you said the dining room itself is square or rectangular.
The dining room table.
The dining room is a what shape? Just a giant curve?
Kind of like a pie shaped, but with
With a
a
circle.
convex circle in the middle.
My pies are usually circular.
Just to make it easier for you guys, when you guys go into the next room, you're starting to get the layout of this house, and it looks like that this house has a circular wall in the middle, followed by rooms that go around it in a bigger circle
Ah, that makes
that
sense.
are cut out, so they look like pie shapes with that central circle
okay. Now
out.
they're wedges from the pie, kind of thing.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
wedges from the pie. So when you guys first walked into that entryway, there was an outer room circle. When you got to the end of the entryway, there was an inner circle, and it goes all around this circular wall. As you guys circle through this area, you don't see a staircase, but you know there's a second and possibly a third level, but you don't see a staircase. But there's all these rooms. You see a dining room, you see a really beautiful sitting room, you see a library.
So
But it's
as we're
just-
going around this ring, are there any rooms on the inside of the ring, or are they all on the outside?
They're all on the outside.
Okay. It seems a little strange that, I mean, there's nothing in the middle, but do you think there's maybe a secret doorway or something?
Are there any windows into the middle section?
Into the middle wall, no, but there are windows on the outer wall that you can see the grassy area and the city of Berdusk.
So, wrapping the inner wall, what is it made out of? Good old wood from the Forest of Sharp Teeth?
Yes,
Okay.
beautifully painted. Some of the rooms have bookcases on them. Some of them it's bare. Some rooms there's like tea sets going all the way up in a beautiful display. So
I would like to roll an investigate check to see if, as we're walking along this inner wall, to see if I can find anything, a servant's entrance, a secret, whatever.
all right, go ahead and do an investigation check.
I would like to use a mastery dice.
Cool. Also, as Usarkar's rolling this, Wesley, you notice that symbol is all over the place.
Is it only on like valuable items? I mean, I guess probably the whole house is valuable, but like,
It's on furniture, it's on the floor in some areas, it's on the ceiling in others. Like sometimes it's woodworked into the walls itself. It seems to be everywhere. And sometimes there's a minor variation around it, but the symbol itself always stays constant.
It looks like a family crest, perhaps.
Okay. That would make sense.
In 20 years, it might be considered gaudy, but right now it's in style.
I have a 31 on my investigation check.
Oh.
Wait, what? 31?
Because the battle mastery dice on investigation gives me an extra d8. I rolled an 8, and I rolled a 17, and I have my bonus.
Whew. Well, Usarkar just mysteriously disappears and ends up in a different game. His investigation was so good, he realized that this is a game.
Broke the third wall.
And the fourth wall.
The fourth wall. Whichever wall that is.
So, Usarkar, you're going around. You do notice that the size and variation of this never changes. It's always the same curvature, and with your Usarkar eyes, you know that this is
They're very human.
this is a like 20-degree circular thing. I mean, it's very large. And you have the feeling that maybe the staircase might be hidden.
Mm-hmm.
So you start tapping on the walls, and it feels solid. You go to the next room, solid. Next room, solid. You go back into the dining room, and it feels hollow. And there's nothing on this wall here.
All right. Wesley, this one is different.
Solid. Sorry. I just you were saying like, oh, solid. Sorry. Oh, awesome. Great.
I begin to look about and see if there is any contraption. We had a number of interesting mechanisms such as this in my home in Baldur's Gate. They could be very clever.
Are there... Which room is this in? Or does it
The
matter?
dining
The
room.
dining room.
Okay.
That very first room you went into. I will say because of that 31, holy Toledo, as Wesley was pointing out those symbols to you, you notice that one looks slightly different. That is about halfway up the wall, and it seems indented rather than poking out. All the woodwork is carved
Extruded?
into. It's, extrude. What is it?
What is it? Is it poking out or poking in?
So this symbol is poking in. So it looks like somebody carved into it, while the other ones look like they carved on top of the wall and like stuck it on the wall.
So engraved versus embossed.
Thank you. That's what I
And
was thinking.
I look at this and I examine it for signs of function. Were people using their greasy hands to manipulate this, or were they using a metal object that would leave scrape marks?
You see minor ticks and chips in the engraving.
We are looking for a device, some sort
like a
of
key or something?
perhaps, except that it's going to be hidden and disguised as a family crest or whatever this thing is.
The symbol that's been all over everywhere. What was the symbol on any loose items? Or was it all on furniture and fixtures?
It was on anything that looked valuable and on the house itself. However, this symbol looks slightly different. It doesn't quite match the rest of them, but if you weren't looking for it, it would look the same. It's just slightly different.
I expect that they either kept it on their person or not too far from here. It would be tedious to go back and forth too much to get into such a large room.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the way that the ticks are and the chips are, it looks like you have to trace it in a certain pattern. You might be able to get away with something mundane to do this if you don't quite have a key.
So you're saying it's not a symbol so much as it is an Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah.
Just trace it with your finger or some material or something like that in a specific pattern.
Would the end of my dagger, the pommel, fit in there?
It would, but you're going to have to do a dexterity check.
Well, that isn't... I don't know, actually, who has more skilled dexterity between the two of us.
I'd be willing to give it a try.
Sure, why not? I don't think there's any harm in, you starting and then me starting.
I think
You-
Wesley kind of like rubs his hand together. Okay, let's
I
do
will
this.
say that, again, that stinking 31, because you're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You can help guide him through this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I give you the help action.
Cool.
All right, go ahead and roll your dexterity check with advantage, sir.
Good thing I had advantage because first roll was a 1.
Oh no!
Second roll was a 17 plus 2 for a 19.
Nice. All right. With Usarkar's help and his deductive reasoning, you guys very quickly figure out this maze of a symbol and how to properly carve this dagger into it to get it to do what you want it to do. And as you reach certain points in a specific order, you hear a tick, tick, tick,
Neat.
tick. And after the fifth one, the symbol itself kind of moves in just a little bit. And you hear, and a room that you didn't realize was there, the door opens up. And you have a whole nother room. However, you do not see stairs.
What
you
do we see?
absolutely nothing. There is nothing in there.
Jump.
Is it black nothing? White nothing?
It's dark. You cannot see. There's no light or anything in here.
The secrets of old houses. Perhaps we should get a light. I'm going to go look around for one.
Yeah, it's easy enough to find.
What have we been using for light previously to this? How dark is it in
Celestine?
here? No. How dark is it in here in this building?
Were there any candles or anything?
'Cause
like
there are no
candlesticks that we might have been able to light up?
There are no
Yeah,
interior.
there's
there
candlesticks
are no
all over.
interior windows. Are there exterior windows on this donut?
Yes.
Okay. And those exterior windows do not illuminate this area. Does it look unusual in that they do not, or is it just a natural result of the angling?
Are you saying inside the...
Right. So if
So
there are
based on the
exterior
natural
windows, but there are no interior wing, yeah.
Yeah, so based on where this indoor chamber is, the light would not be able to get in here. Just but where it's positioned.
I'm going to grab a candlestick
Yeah,
Nearby?
candlesticks with wax are
Um,
very easy to find.
and I'm going to bring it close to my mouth and blow on it, and it lights flame. I use prestidigitation to light it,
All right, you do that.
and I reach the candlestick in and take a step into the darkness.
Very quickly you realize that there is no bottom. So you probably don't want to step
Goodbye,
completely in
Wesley.
there. But as you realize, oh no, there's no bottom, you look down, you see a giant sigil on the bottom of this, what should have been a stairwell, you think. And at the bottom of this stairwell, well, what should have been, is what you know because you have done enough research in your life to know that this is a teleportation circle. And you look up, and there is no second floor, there is no third floor. It literally just ends.
It just is void or like end of the room.
It's void.
Okay.
Nothing is there. It looks like it just all disappeared. The room is gone. All the rooms above are gone.
Define gone. He raises his candle light up to where a room should be, and he sees what?
Nothing.
This is just darkness.
Just darkness.
We see a arcane symbol at the bottom.
Can
that
we
looks
see
like
the lip of the wood and other sculpting where it meets into this and curves over?
Yeah, so you can see where the first floor ends.
Mm-hmm.
You can see all that. That's there. Nothing else is.
I'm going
It's
to
just
cast
hollow and
Firebolt
empty.
into the darkness. Just ahead. See how far it goes.
It does create some illumination, I assume.
Yeah, so you do that. What's the range on that?
It is 120 feet.
Well, you very much hit the ceiling very quickly. It's all wood.
The house burns down. Success.
Well, if it hasn't caught, like I might be able to snuff it out.
Okay. I was about to say, like, are you sure you want to burn this house down? So yeah, it manages, it goes up there and...
I was casting it forward
Oh, forward, sorry.
into the darkness.
Forward into the
Not
darkness.
at the ceiling.
Yeah,
But to see how
the
far.
circular area that you can see how it connects all these different rooms is about 50 feet wide.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a room here. It is not a endless void.
No.
Okay. That was
But
the
you
purpose
do-
of my action.
So this is a 50-foot diameter central void.
Yeah. So you do see that there are grooves where like stairs would have been, and you can see the outline every once in a while of a stair that goes up. So you know that something was here, but it no longer is. It's just gone. That being said, Celestine and Izzy, you are galloping along. Celestine, you know where you're going. You've been here
Yep.
before.
Yep.
By the way, the day is pretty nice and sunny.
So much nicer than the last couple of days of rain that we've been traveling through.
Yes. Yeah, this is much better.
Speaking of that, you guys pass by a few people who are coming from a neighborhooding town, and they mentioned that the weather's been very, very weird in this area recently.
Wait. Oh.
I can't really figure that out. The forecast was not saying that there was going to be rain, but there were 2 crazy rainstorms.
I hear the rain was late.
Are forecasts ever really accurate?
Nope.
You hear one of the men on the road say, "True that," and then just continuing on.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, after a short while of galloping, you see what looks to be a shrine coming up on the distance, and it's on the left side of the road, or I guess the north side,
Okay.
because you guys are heading east.
Well, I'm following you, Celestine. This is your stomping grounds.
What shrine is this?
This you recognize anywhere. This is a chapter house of Tempus for the Order of Arabelle.
Oh, okay, got it. So it's chapter house, not just the shrine.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Well, on over we go.
So as you guys approach this building, it's beautifully carved. Again, you're in Berdusk. Everything is beautiful. It has a wonderful carved symbol of Tempus on it. You see reds, you see tapestries hanging down on the front of it. And it looks very solid. Like, the Temple of Chantea looked decently solid, but this one looks like it's not going anywhere. No earthquake could probably take this down.
No earthquake or army.
Yep. It's very solid. As you guys approach, you see someone in red robes look at you and wave at you. Hello, fellow travelers. Are you here to stay?
Do I recognize this person at all?
You do. This is the Direhar.
Oh,
So
okay.
this person is a dwarf. She's very short-ish. She's about 5'2". She has beautiful black hair and a wonderful braided beard that would make anybody jealous.
Ooh, okay. I greet her and I say, Direhar Morton, it's good to see you again.
Oh, Hard Harpy's child. I didn't realize you were coming back here. I thought you were heading home. Your tour's done.
I thought so too. And then some, I don't know if you've heard of the events in the area?
Oh, yes. Excuse me. Could you take my post, please? Perfect. You see another person come. They're wearing black this time, and they take charge outside. Sits in a seat, waves at people as they pass by, not on. That would be really sad.
Waves at them as they die and pass on.
Yes.
They stand at the doorway, waving.
Except for those lucky few who come
Tempest
back.
be with you. So the Direhar ushers you two in. Nice to meet you, my dear. I am Direhar Morton.
I'm Izzy. Izzy Welkenmov.
Nice to meet you, Izzy. Welcome to... And she kind of looks at Celestine for confirmation of what
she
to say.
knows.
Welcome to our chapter house of the Order of the Battle of Arabelle. This is one of our stations here, and Celestine is one of our Hardhars who goes out and does missions for us every once in a while.
I turn to Izzy and I say, a warrior priest, essentially.
Yeah.
She's great at it, by the way, pointing to Celestine.
Oh, she is the best. We send her on the hard missions because we know she'll get them done. About what's been happening. We have heard reports from other chapter houses that things are happening in the smaller towns. What do you know?
Well, from
And
what
she
we've seen...
at this point she's ushered you into an office.
Oh, okay, good.
And she shuts the door. What have you know? What do you know?
So I finished up my last battle. I went to Greenest, the nearest town, to rest and to head over to Baldur's Gate, since that was the last battle I had for my tour. And I was immediately attacked by a dragon overhead, and then a bunch of kobolds and dragon cult priests.
Dragon.
Yes, it was a blue one.
Mercy me.
Fairly adult dragon.
I think he called himself Lenathan.
I unfortunately don't know much about dragons or dragon names, but Warlion Sezung might, but he will return in a few weeks. He's checking up on the other chapter houses, unfortunately. We can send word to the Warlion if you think this is dire enough.
Yes. We are working with the High Magistrate at Berdusk, and we've learned that there's some information regarding some previous ex-cultists that used to live in the city that are now gone. They don't know where they went. Two of them were working in the army.
2 of them
still.
were retired.
2 of them were retired, and then 2 of them were still working, and they've abandoned post, essentially. Okay. So 2 of them have abandoned post, and they have no idea where they're at. There's rumors abounding, but that's our best lead, is to figure out what the cult might be up to.
And which cult is this? There are many in Berdusk.
The dragon cultist.
The Cult of the Dragon.
Yes.
They're back.
Yes.
Did they ever leave?
Oh, we thought they did. They stopped bringing Draco Liches into this world.
Fair
You have
point,
no
fair
idea
point.
how many times we had to take down baby Draco Liches.
Is that before Celestine's time?
That is much before Celestine's
Okay.
time.
Just
I
I'd
didn't even
ask.
know that was a thing.
I'm trying to decide
I
if
just
that's an
figured that cults
oxymoron.
never really go away. Much like religion.
Baby Dracoliches.
Right?
Baby Draco Liches. Yeah, I fought a couple of them, and they are nasty. I thought they had disappeared. They haven't brought anything back for decades.
Well, during the battle, and I kind of run through the sequence of events with her, explaining how there were many, many kobolds that were there, many various humanoid priests of various levels, including Madame something something, and
Ulamanga.
Madame Mudface.
yes, and let's see here, the Dragon Claw and the Champion. I don't remember the champion's name. I think that's all we got. So yeah, there's apparently from what we've heard from the High Magistrate, that was probably the biggest incursion that has been around in this area. Other areas have just been completely sacked, but they haven't had any dragons, and I don't think anyone's reported kobolds or anything. No one's reported those dragon priests, but they very clearly told us that they were dragon priests, or of the dragon cult. And they also mentioned something about dragon eggs in a cavern. What was it? North? South? South of Berdusk. We have not
South
looked
of
into that.
Greenest.
Oh, and they also have kicked out a band of orcs and half-orcs from their area, and apparently, they have wyverns too. And there's the wyverns set up in these caves.
There's a lot.
Her
There's a lot.
eyes are just
It was a
wide, and you see her picking at her beard, and she pulls out the hair tie, and she starts braiding it again in nervousness as you guys are doing this.
She's a nervous braider.
and they
She's
kept
a
looking
nervous
for
braider.
shiny. I don't know why. Ours was looking for shiny, but apparently other places was looking for valuable stuff like gold. I think our kobolds weren't too bright, and they were getting anything that was shiny, including kitchen sinks.
This is very unnerving. This does not sound like the cult from 50 years ago. I vaguely heard about 40 so years ago that they went under basically a new management, but they have been quiet. I thought the new management just disbanded everybody. This is not okay.
Sounds
And
like
she
they're starting
starts,
from the
like-
ground up. They're trying to make their own little baby dragons instead of raising baby dragoliches.
If they are doing something with dragon eggs, and you see she has like those, like a war flashback glaze over, what they used to do was steal dragon eggs, and when they hatched, kill them and then turn them into dracoliches.
Do they even grow after that point?
No, they're an absolute menace. They could destroy Berdusk in a matter of hours.
7-year-olds can do that.
It would be as crazy as turning children into vampires.
That's just a terrifying thought.
And
That's
yet,
just
such
terrifying.
a common trope of stories.
Ha,
Somehow.
Twilight. Anyways,
Ha!
Let's
Interview with a
not.
vampire.
they're unstoppable. They have no intelligence. They did not grow up. They just kill and eat and kill and eat.
Yeah,
If
with,
this
with
is what they're
boundless
doing-
energy.
With boundless energy. Exactly. And she has now like gone into like fishtail braiding. She's starting to do
Ooh.
different types of braids. This is, if they're trying to do this again, that I'm gonna go talk to the war lion. He's gonna need to know this.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Oh, the reason I came was to tell you, but also I would like to continue looking into this.
Yes, please do.
Okay. cool.
Please.
Wanted to make sure I was on official assignment before I go gallivanting off onto the countryside.
You can't go home.
yeah, pretty
Oh,
much.
right. Would you like us to send word to your husband for you?
Yes. If you have a pen or pens, yes. If you have a quill and paper, I can pen up something and
Parchment.
She shoves over a stack of
That.
papers and some parchment, or some parchment and some quills to you. I will be right back. And you can tell she's like full on panicking. She did live through the Draco Liches, and you do know that she's normally pretty calm, but some war stories kind of get to her. And she basically just runs out.
Okay. I will start penning a letter to my dear sweet husband at Baldur's Gate and tell him to send my love to the kids, and I'm protecting the world, and I'm not sure how long this one will take. But I'll
Making
keep
the
sending
world
word to
safe
him.
for humanity.
I might give him a brief description of kind of what's going on so he has an idea. I think that's about it, though.
Okay. After a while of you guys just sitting there.
Okay, never mind. I'm also writing letters to each of the kids now.
Okay. You see another Hardhar walk in, and he looks a little befuddled and says, "Where's the Direhar?"
She went to talk to send a message to the War Lion.
Okay. Somebody just arrived and they're hurt.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to do that. I got sidetracked by dragons.
Do you have? I don't have any healing today. Do you have any healing?
Yes.
Can you help us figure out what's going on? They just arrived.
Take me to him. Is it him, her?
Him.
Him? Okay, take me to him.
Okay.
I'm gonna be very upset, Corn, if this is my husband.
Well then.
On that note.
On that note,
Dragon cultists have stolen all of your children. Your
oh
husband's on his
my
deathbed.
gosh, I would be so upset. I would be so upset. Celestine would be so upset.
he leads you quickly into another side chamber, and this looks to be some sort of hospital wing. There's multiple beds. And you see a man. He looks very young, around maybe late teens, early 20s. Very, very young.
Okay.
And he is convulsing.
Oh, that's...
You see
Mm.
3 other humanoids standing around them. One is an elf, one's a gnome, and one's another dwarf. And they are panicking. The elf is like, please, help him. We don't know what's wrong. Help him. And the gnome is looking really angry, and she's like, I need someone to help. And she starts
gosh.
foaming at the mouth a little bit.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I am going to...
And the
take
dwarf is
command.
like, please, someone help. And
Okay. with a great deal of air of authority and knowing exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just radiating that feeling.
Mhm.
I tell everyone, quiet down, tell them to move away, tell me what's happening. Why is he convulsing? What happened?
The elf says, we were contracted by someone in Baldur's Gate to search for a missing person. And they said that this person was in or around Berdusk. We were checking out a town about 5 miles south of here, and we were looking for clues for this person. Court said that he felt something prick the back of his neck. And you are like, Court, and you look down. This is your son convulsing on the ground.
Really?
Yep.
The youngest of my children.
He said that he felt something on the back of his neck, and a few hours later, we didn't find anything about the person, but he started convulsing, and we rushed him here because he told us that his mom was a follower of Tempus and of this order, and that they could help us. Can you help him?
Well, you found his mother. Congratulations.
What?
I immediately turned.
Everyone immediately backs away like 10 feet because he has... They have also heard stories about you as well.
Oh, many a
They
story.
know much about you.
Many a story.
Oh dear.
Well,
Your son is convulsing on the bed.
Okay, well, let's do...
He's also starting to foam in his mouth.
Okay, so he's still alive because he's convulsing.
Yes.
So we're gonna do a medicine check real quick.
Go ahead. This
This is not the time for low rolls.
right, but the other person is there with you, and if you ask them to help, they will give you
Yes,
advantage.
help, please.
Yes, of course. Of course. What do you need?
Okay, much better. Okay, 17. I ask her to help me figure out, okay, what does this look like? It looks like he's been poisoned, maybe?
You said 13?
17.
17. Okay, thank you. So, looking at him, you recognize the foam, like the foam is yellow and it looks infected. But you recognize that this is the same thing that was happening to that orc the night before. And you remember that was a neurotoxin, which is a type of poison.
I am immediately... Okay, now I have to remember which herbs went to which. There is one set of herbs that went for the meat.
Because you rolled...
second set of herbs that went for the poison.
So what was your first roll, by the way?
It was 11.
Well, it's a good thing you got that 17 because the check was 15 to recreate the antidote that Petula had made.
Yeah.
You remember. Exactly.
immediately-
You remember both. You remember the food spices that were delicious, and you remember the antitoxin. Now, you
good.
do not remember the spell that she did.
Oh, I
She did
thought
a
there's
spell on top of it. But you do remember the concoction she made.
Okay. Well, we'll try this. So, I send one of the acolytes in this area. I'm assuming we're like in the healing ward or something. I send one of the acolytes to get me the herbs I need. And I start pulling out materials and start putting things together. And then I give it to to my son. And does it work? Somewhat?
It doesn't work as quickly because there was no spell involved.
Okay. I will heal as well and do a healing word
Okay,
at level 2.
great. Go ahead and roll that for me, please.
Okay, hang on. I have to see how to upcast this one. 1d4, okay. 2d4. If I can find a d4. 3 plus... I don't usually use that. Okay. 4. Yay, all of 4.
Plus 2, so it'd be 5. 3 plus
3,
2?
yes.
Okay.
I can't do math. I am panicked, apparently.
It's your son. He's dying.
Okay, healing word for 5 points.
So it doesn't work quite as quickly, and you end up having to give him a second dose, but eventually the convulsions and the seizures calm down, the foaming stops, and he becomes quiet. You do see the rise and fall of his chest. He is breathing, but he is unconscious.
Okay. What did the orc say again about the guy who got poisoned?
She said that it seemed to be some sort of neurotoxin.
When did he get it?
You're not entirely sure.
So I asked this group, who apparently is my son's adventuring party, and asked them to give me more details about what this quest was, who were they looking for, and where were they exactly when he was pricked.
The gnome steps up to you, and she gives you a once-over. She says, I know you're his mom, but we're under contract, and we can't really tell you. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness. How old is she?
She looks
probably
about
20.
like 18,
Oh my gosh.
19. In no years.
Okay.
This is our gig, and we're gonna get paid for it, okay?
Did the client sign a confidentiality agreement?
She looks
you have the
over to the
paperwork with you?
over to the dwarf, and the dwarf shakes his head. Well, no, but it's our job.
Mm-hmm. And yes, and one of your members is now injured. How were you planning on, I don't know, figuring this out?
Well,
Who
we
is
just
this
are, okay?
Who is this for? Can I intimidate?
You can.
Cool.
You can ask them about their payment plan.
This is the one that was
Their
foaming
insurance.
at the mouth a while ago.
Oh, this one. At 20. 22. Mother Bear Rage comes out. Oh, no, you didn't, honey.
She takes a step back
Mm-hmm.
without realizing she does that, and then remembers that you're Court's mother, and shrinks within herself, and she says, sorry, ma'am. Abram, you know all the information, right? And the dwarf just sighs.
Oh, no, she didn't even know any of the information, did she?
Or doesn't want to tell you because
Doesn't want to tell me because she doesn't know.
Abram, which you now know as the dwarf, he rubs his face and says, I apologize for her brusqueness. It comes in handy, but sometimes not so much with parents. We were hired by
She's very
somebody in Baldur's Gate to locate a man who has been gone for about 6 weeks. We assumed that he had come to Berdusk to look at a former contact named Lord Faradin. However, Lord Faradin also seems to have been missing, but that was not our job, so we moved on. We got some word that our target was in another town about 5 miles south of here. However, when Court got hit, we weren't quite to the town yet. It was in the middle of this valley, in the middle of a valley of a small group of hills. And at first it didn't seem like anything was happening, and then a few hours later he started convulsing and went unconscious, and we rushed him here. Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you. The target's name was Urgosa von Pride. And that's where we'll end our session.
I'm glad I'm not the only one with a relative.
I mean, he's
in
dead.
this.
Is Urgosa Usarkar's uncle?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
He's dead.
The one who was part of the cult.
Uh-huh.
Is he dead or is he dead?
He's in the family mausoleum.
How did he
At least
die?
that's where he was last you saw him.
Last I saw him.
Hey everyone, this is Corin. Thank you for listening to this episode of Power Word Crit. For more information about us and this podcast, please visit us at powerwordcrit.com. And a new PS starts now.
So, Celestine, I heard them calling you a hardy har har. Why are they making jokes about you?
A hardy har. Oh, you mean, that's my rank.
You're a hardy har har?
Not quite. I am a hardhar, which is a warrior priest.
Okay.
I oversee battle contingents and lead men into war, essentially.
Ah, okay. So it's not a laughing matter.
No, definitely not. Very serious. We take ourselves very seriously. There are many other positions. There's like the War Lion, who we came hoping to talk to. He is the High Priest, and he sees over several chapters. The Direhar, as we met Direhar Morton, is the Guardian Priest. She oversees one single chapter, so she's over this chapter here. After that, you've got 4 different positions. They kind of are all on the same rank and level, and they just cover different areas. So there's the Hardhar, which is the Warrior Priest. There's the Arahar, which is the Battle Chaplain. He oversees faith and morale and leads religious services during battles. There's the Rothot, which is a Sword Master. As you can tell from the title, they have expertise in various matters of warfare. And then there's the Stalwart, which is the Priest. You'll generally find the priest here at the chapters where they take care of various matters, they tend the fire, keep the shrines going, and accept offerings. After that, there's the Acolyte, which is the beginning level, and basically any of the other positions usually has a lot of acolytes that work underneath them. So, and that's the hierarchy of the War Priest of Tempus.
The more you know.